As a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump, Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and a lot of emphasis is always placed on the national level, whether it is elected office or whether it's the Republican Party. We all know the national leadership, and we're all concerned about the national platform, but I think a lot of emphasis now, rightly, is being placed on the state local elections. Who is running the RNC and the GOP on the state level? Those elections are very important, and we saw that play out in the last RNC national leadership election. It works kind of very similar as the Electoral College, where this isn't we who are all registered Republican, and I am registered unaffiliated now, and I think everyone knows that, but we who are part of the Republican Party don't actually get a say in national leadership. That is up to who we elect as the state coalition of leadership in each of the states. So what can we learn from this, and how should we be paying attention to what's going on the state level? Well, my good friend, who's a former state senator, Kevin Lundberg, is going to join me right after this, who is running for Colorado State GOP Chair. And he has some great ideas for moving the party platform forward, not just in the state of Colorado, but as a model for each state nationally. So you're not going to want to miss this. Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook, and I just posted yesterday a really great interview with the president of Legacy Precious Metals, who is discussing why you need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903. So joining me now is former Colorado State Senator Kevin Lundberg, who is now running for GOP Chair out of Colorado. And Kevin, this is a really important race, not just for Colorado, but I think in the aftermath of the national election for RNC chair, where a lot of people didn't support Ronna McDaniel and saw that the process really was not yielded to the grassroots. It was all about the people who actually represent the RNC, like the position and the elected position that you are running for. So I think a lot more national attention is now on these offices in individual states. So why are you running, and what is the broader context of why everyone in our own individual states need to really pay attention to these races?
Well, Jenna, I think you identified a big part of the issue that we're really wrestling with as a party, and that is who's in charge, who's running this ship anyway. I'm firmly on the side of the people, the grassroots. Here in Colorado, it's a very competitive race. There are several people that are running, and just about everybody does agree that the folks that ought to be in charge are the folks that are on the ground that are doing the work for the party. And we need more of those folks, particularly here in Colorado. We're kind of on rough times when it comes to electing Republicans to the legislature, to state offices, and even gets down into some of the county commission races and areas like that. And I believe we need to reevaluate who we are and what we're all about. And yeah, it should be we the people who adhere to the principles of the Republican Party are the folks who are calling the shots and determining who's going to run things. That's certainly my campaign, and I'm feeling good about it. But on the other hand, there are 6 other people that might say they're feeling good about their chances too, and it all wraps up on Saturday.
Yeah, well, so we really wish you the best for that. And what's interesting, and you highlighted this to me in a prior conversation that we had, that it's very interesting that it was the outgoing people who are in these offices, these state elected offices, that actually chose the national leadership for the next 2 years. So that almost seems a little bit backwards. What can you do then with the national leadership already in place to really direct what's going on in terms of a state by state platform that really adheres to what I think all of us would like to see as bringing back the national and the state by state identity of the Republican Party to genuine conservatives and America First candidates that are running for office. Not like there in Colorado, how we had, Joe O'Dea, for example, that was running for U.S. Senate that, didn't really stand for anything conservative and certainly was not anyone's first pick who is a genuine conservative. I mean, I went against him and I openly said I was not voting for him since I'm still a resident of Colorado.
Yeah, well, a couple of things come to my mind, one of which is a priority for me in running for the chair, and if I'm successful in being the chair, is to help the party here in Colorado identify what we're really all about. At the national level, we have what we call a party platform, and it specifies a lot of particulars, and I don't think enough people pay attention to it at the national level. But here in Colorado, we don't even have a party platform. We've got some resolutions that get passed from time to time, and then they get put on a dusty shelf, and that's the end of it. I want us to go through a very intentional process of identifying what are those priorities and principles for the Republican Party here in Colorado. And so that's the first step, is to boldly proclaim who we are and why we're here and what we think good government looks like. Now, translating that into affecting it at the national level, I think, one, it can be a good example that other states may follow. But I've been encouraged by some of the other leaders that have been selected in other states. And I know that the RNC is a fairly small group of about 150 some people who help set the tone. And maybe we can't pick the leader for the next 2 years because that's already done. But of course, we'll be in the seat to pick the next leader. But the current leadership had better recognize what we are all about. And if we're intentional, if we're loud about it, and I don't mean it in an obnoxious way, I just mean in a very intentional way, we can move the dial the right direction. I've got to tell you,
and I think a lot of people who are Republicans or who are now even unaffiliated, like I changed my registration in the aftermath of the 2020 election and seeing how that was handled by the national leadership of the Republican Party. I changed my registration in Colorado to unaffiliated, which means that I can vote in the Republican primary, but I'm no longer a member of the Republican Party. And I think for a lot of people who feel that way, who of course still want to exercise our constitutionally protected right to vote and to be engaged in our elections, we would like to see not this kind of big tent sort of squishy version of the RNC that is failing to take a stand on some really significant issues and policy positions that historically they have. We would like to see the RNC and the state level have those positions and require candidates to also adhere to those positions if they want to run on the Republican ticket. Like, so just for example, and I know I'm kind of picking on Joe O'Dea, but it actually really surprised me that someone from Colorado could run as a Republican on a campaign to say we want to codify Roe versus Wade on the federal level. I mean, that's just antithetical to everything that even the current national leadership of the Republican Party has said, that we are a pro-life party. And so it does seem that we're having this kind of identity crisis. So I think you're right to say it's not about being obnoxious. It's about just standing up with courage and saying, these are the things that we're for. I mean, the Democrats do that. They're unapologetically pro-choice for state-funded abortion on demand. Why can't we be unapologetically pro-life from the moment of conception, and saying that we are going to do everything in our power to get people in elected office that also champion the very foundational issue of life, the issues of human sexuality that are morally and biblically based, that marriage is between one man and one woman. I mean, all of these things that the Republican Party at least used to stand for.
Yeah. Now you did say require a candidate. I don't have the mechanism and won't, as chairman of the party, to require the candidates. But if we can be very specific and say, this is who we are, if you want to run under our banner, you need to understand we're expecting most of the, I've heard the old 80-20% of it. If they're with us 80% of the time, then they're with us. And, I know that we will all have some disagreement somewhere, but to set that standard in very clear terms is the very first step to actually move forward with that intentionality. And I believe it will. Jenna, I beg you, come back to the party once we've figured out who we are. And, give us a little bit of input on that too. I want to say that to about probably 1 million people here in Colorado who really need to be aligned with the party. A lot of people have left because they didn't think the party was really being clear themselves. In my run for this position as chairman and interacting with other people who are running and the people who are asking us questions, this just comes up. It bubbles up all the time in one form or another. So I'm not satisfied with what the party's been doing, or as in the case you said, I've left the party because I didn't see them following through with what we claim to be in a general sense. All of those things come together with, we need to be intentionally Republican, unapologetically standing for the solid principles of limited moral government. You go back to the founding fathers. I've got a little bust of Thomas Jefferson behind me here that I was given by the American Legislative Exchange Council years ago as a legislator. Well, that guy had a lot of pretty good ideas, as well as the people that he bounced around with. It seems to me he wrote something to the effect of, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among them are life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. Well, let's get specific with that.
Thing.
In 2023 and 2024 and 5 and 6, I'm kind of excited about what we can do because in one sense, I think that there's so much that should be done that will improve things. And we see some states that have moved forward. I look at Florida, and why did it turn red? Well, because the governor, and I'm sure many other people out there, said, this is who we are. And they proved it through the policies. It's time for the rest of us to get on board and get the same thing done, including the party and the leadership of the party from the very top all the way down to all of the grassroots who ought to be running the show in the first place.
Yeah, really well said. And, for anyone, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican or somewhere in between, people want strength in leadership. They want leaders to have a direction and actually stand up for what they believe and articulate those values unapologetically. And, for as much as Joe Biden isn't really that articulate in standing up and saying anything that he supposedly believes, he is, at least through his press office and through statements and through tweets, which I'm assuming are done by staff, actually saying what the Democrat base wants to hear. That is actually better leadership than a lot of people who were running as squidgy Republicans. Now, when you contrast that with someone like a Ron DeSantis out of Florida, he is standing up very firmly and saying, I am unapologetic that we need to take woke out of schools. We need to take CRT out of schools. We need to protect parental rights. We need to protect life at every stage. I mean, he is saying all of the things that conservatives want to hear. And we like that leadership. We like that boldness. And I think a lot of people are moving to Florida because they want a governor and they want leadership that is actually willing to take those steps and to say, we are going to exercise the limited powers of government to genuinely effectuate the mandate of the Constitution to preserve and protect the rights of every human being made in the image of God. I mean, that should not be that much to ask from the so-called conservative party. And so, Kevin, as you have been, you have been a long-time member of the Colorado legislature, first in the House, then in the Senate. And, you have seen this firsthand, and you and I go, way back to, I think I met you in like elementary school and was actually
almost
in the parade first campaign, right? So, I mean, you were kind of my introduction into local politics. So I'm blaming my entire career on you, by the way.
Oh, well,
well,
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. But, so I've known you a really long time, and you've always stood up for freedom and liberty and conservative principles. And so looking at what a state party chair can do with the legislature and the campaigns and the elected officials in the state, talk about your experience, and does that need to be enhanced in terms of what you personally observed throughout your time in the state legislature?
Well, I mean, I can go several directions with that. To me, what I learned in the legislature is you've got to stand on the principles that you know are right and true. You've got to identify what are the negotiables and what are the non-negotiables. And then you've got to move forward with everything you do within that context. And I see that translating into the party leadership just the same way. Oftentimes, party leadership, I mean, it's a management role. You're dealing with a lot of components and trying to keep a lot of people going the right direction. And Republicans tend to be very independent-minded and like herding cats sometimes. But the real key to leadership goes back to that same principle. Figure out what you're all about. Identify those core beliefs and understandings of truth, and then operate from that perspective and do it from a very positive angle. We're trying to build things up. We're not trying to tear things down. And keep your feet on the ground. The party of Lincoln is the party of everyday, normal, hardworking citizens who love their kids, love God, and love our great nation. And I don't think it gets much more complicated than that, but it does. I mean, there are a lot of nuances we've got to dig in, but I believe that's the kind of the starting point of figuring out how to build the team properly. And I see much of my legislative experience translating very well, because it's the same thing. You're dealing with ideas, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with the tensions that arise, but you're aiming towards a better future for your family, for your community, for all of us.
Absolutely. And so when you're talking about specific policy positions that need to be on a state level party platform, what would you like to see specifically with respect to election integrity?
First and foremost, we need an election that is secure, that is accurate, and is transparent. In other words, it's something that people should have a justifiable confidence in. And that doesn't exist today. There are a lot of people who say, oh, no, just, if you want to question anything, we'll call you an election denier. Even though an election denier is somebody who refuses to look at the facts and then just moves in. Well, somebody told me it was right, so it's got to be. No, that's denying the facts, because there's too much evidence out there. And particularly here in Colorado, we have a broken election system, from the way people are registered to vote to how the ballots are sent out, to how they're collected, to how they're counted, and even how it's recalled. It all needs to be redone. What do I do with that, with a state party platform? Well, to keep it up front first, because it's so key. You can't somehow pretend that everything's okay when you know it isn't. And here in Colorado, where we're on the ropes politically. The Republicans don't hold any majority anywhere, and the other guys are fully in charge. So it's not like we can wave a magic wand and change it all, but we've got to go after it. We've got to keep dogging it, and we've got to educate people first and foremost. We've got to build that foundation. You know, so much of the problems that we have within the Republican Party here in Colorado is our numbers just aren't big enough. Well, why? Because people have left the party, Jenna, for a lot of good reasons. But we've got to fix those reasons and give a reason to come back and be a part of the team, and then give that, once we can get the momentum going, because I think the momentum is going the wrong direction right now, but once we get that momentum going and get people realizing that there's a reason to be engaged and involved, that will show good results. Maybe not in 2024, everything we want, but maybe nationally, everything we do want. We need to get the Senate back. We need to get that White House back, and I think we've got good chances in all of it. And then build a stronger House of Representatives as well. And Colorado can contribute to all of that. I see a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, and I would agree. And I think we do need to take that incrementalist approach, because a lot of conservatives kind of want this all or nothing thing. And if we don't have everything that we want, then we think that we don't have any significant wins. And with respect to election integrity, I've seen some very significant wins in a lot of different states. I think there's a lot of work still to be done in Colorado specifically. And you're right on that. And that's particularly because both houses of the legislature, as well as the governor's office, is Democrat. So that's difficult, but I think that nationally we've certainly made a lot of headway. I mean, just yesterday it was Florida, West Virginia, and Missouri that have now said that they are going to leave ERIC, which is this national registration commission, and that's a great improvement. We've seen legislation that has passed in a wide variety of states. Those types of things can be done in Colorado and in every state, but we have to pave the way and start kind of rolling the ball backwards and actually encouraging people to get on board on that team. And, my issue with the Republican Party, I would love to come back to the party, but my issue is I want to be incentivized for people like me, instead of having the Republican Party going and saying, oh, well, we want all of the log cabin Republicans and all of the people who are just totally squidgy on the social issues. We're going to go and try to attract them. They need to come back first and try to attract the base of genuine conservatives who are willing to stand up with courage and say, this is what I believe, and this is how I support the Constitution. And I think that you are poised to do that in a real way that will draw conservatives in Colorado back. So I hope that you are successful on Saturday. That's only a couple of days away. And so how can people in Colorado who are listening to this specifically support you? And then what would you say for people who are outside Colorado looking at their own GOP local elections? What can they do?
Well, for myself, for my effort here, my website, kevinlundberg.com. Pretty simple. Go to that. You'll find out all about me and what we're trying to do here. For people in other states, it's the same message. Get engaged and get involved. I was talking to a little group of little Republican women's club up in Montana last week. They had me call in and tell them what's happened here in Colorado and give them some advice. And it's mostly keep on keeping on. And I'm going to add one more thing with that I've shared with them as well. And it's not totally up to us. I believe that God is in control of all of life, and he gives us jobs to do and responsibilities to fulfill. And we have a lot of consequence on what we do, but ultimately we've got to rely on his guidance, his blessing, his protection in everything we do. And that translates into the political arena as much as it does in any other area of life. So
Mm.
Keep on keeping on. Keep on looking up, not just because you're looking for a better way, but you're looking to who's really in charge too.
Yeah, and that really underscores the necessity of prayer. And
Right.
the Bible does call us to pray for our leaders, pray for those in charge. And it says when there are tyrants in charge of the people, groan under the weight of bad leadership and bad governors, and of all levels. And so it is incumbent upon everyone who cares about the future of this country to be in prayer. And I think that we tend to look at other solutions. And of course, we can't just sit back and do nothing and say, well, God didn't, provide a miracle when we're not willing to go and do the hard work. Of course, we need to be doing that. But I think you're absolutely right, Kevin, that we need to first and foremost be on our knees praying for the safety, the security of this country, and for godly leaders to raise up and to be elected in offices throughout the federal, state, and local levels so that we can once again embrace the foundations of our country and the blessings of liberty for ourselves and for our posterity. That was what we were built on as a nation, and I think we need to return to our heritage of being a Judeo-Christian nation. So very well said, and that's a really good not admonishment, but encouragement, I think, to people who feel like, maybe they can't do anything. Everyone can pray for our nation. So Kevin Lundberg, really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much, and look forward to seeing the results on Saturday. Thanks for
Great.
joining me.
Thank you, Jenna.
Legacy Precious Metals is the company that I trust to give you good and patient counsel for investing in your retirement. The Biden administration has caused a financial crisis, and they have no clue how to fix it. Oil prices have skyrocketed, and when oil prices go up, not only do your expenses go up, but the cost of transportation and shipping spikes, leading the prices of goods to rise. And we are already seeing record inflation. That's the last thing that we need. Our economy is in trouble, and you need to take steps to protect yourself. If all your money is tied up in stocks, bonds, and traditional markets, you may be vulnerable. So gold is one of the very best ways to protect your retirement. No matter what happens, you own your own gold. It's real, it's physical, and it's always been valuable since the dawn of time. Call Legacy Precious Metals today at 866-528-1903 or visit them online at legacypminvestments.com. That's legacypminvestments.com, where you can download the free investor's guide. You can also go to my Facebook page, Jenna Ellis. I am a public figure on Facebook. You need to start your retirement account even if you're in your 20s or 30s. There is always a great time to protect your retirement and invest, just like you want to protect your health over the long term. So go to Legacy Precious Metals at legacypminvestments.com or call 866-528-1903.
Have you ever picked up a towel set because it felt so soft in the store, but then when you leave and you go to use it, it's not really that absorbent? It's basically a towel that is leaving you out to dry. That's why MyPillow has developed the MyPillow towels that actually work. I know, it's totally mind-blowing. Towels that actually dry you. Their 6-piece towel set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 washcloths. They come in a variety of colors. I have the sage green and the white. I love them. And right now you can receive a 6-piece set for only $39.98 with promo code Jenna. That's JENNA. So go to mypillow.com right now and click on the radio listeners special. MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty and have a 60-day money-back guarantee. So to receive this amazing offer on the 6-piece towel set of MyPillow towels, just go to mypillow.com, click on the radio listener special, and enter promo code Jenna, that's JENNA, or call 1-800-564-8475. That's mypillow.com, promo code Jenna.